Hey everyone, welcome to the Vienna Whyte Roundtable, Season 1, Episode 18. I'm your host, Millie Rouge from the band Vienna Whyte here in Edmonton. This roundtable is a YEG music production. Oh my gosh, I said that wrong. This roundtable is a YEG music production. Our guests today, we have two incredible guests from all over the globe that I'm very happy to have here today. So let's start with Jessica. Can you kind of tell us who you are, your band name, and where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Jessica. I go under JESSIA, and I'm from Vancouver, BC.
Beautiful. Awesome. And Sam?
My name's Sam. Sam Appleby is the artist name that I go by, and which is my name. I'm from Scotland. Mostly Edinburgh is where I'm based.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. I actually just wanted to start and just dive right into your guys' introductions about you. So Jessia, can you kind of tell us in like 2 minutes or less, not a whole lifelong story, but how you kind of got started into the music world and how you are where you are now today?
Yeah, so I've pretty much just like always been singing, and then I just kind of wanted to continue it, went to school for it, met you. Hello. And then I am now a songwriter for EDM producers, and now I am just breaking into my own solo stuff that is going to be released in 2 days. Well, 1 day when this is aired, but
awesome.
it's really exciting. I'm breaking more into like the minimalistic pop kind of genre there, but still totally doing the EDM stuff and continuing just being a songwriter for anyone who needs a song.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to collaborate with you now that I know that. And I'm
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So Sam, Jessica used to live in Edmonton and we went to the same university.
Cool.
So we kind of mutually knew each other beforehand.
Yeah.
So Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit about how your musical journey kind of came to be and how you are where you are today?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I had music lessons and stuff when I was small, but never really thought I was going to be a musician. And then it was my high school band actually that I was like, oh, I really like this. And I still think back to that band because it was a really good band. And then I took a year out and I was going to go to uni to study physics. And then in that year out, I was kind of just like, let's just go for it and do music for a bit and give that the best shot I've got. So then I changed, I withdrew my place at uni to do physics and applied to do music and got in, which was super scary because I'd never done an audition before, and got in on the guitar, and then now I've pretty much just finished second year uni. So, and then somewhere in first year I decided to start making my own stuff.
Very cool.
Super cool.
So can you tell us, and now I'm just curious to know a little bit more about the program in Edinburgh and what it's kind of like, the music program there?
So there's like 2 music programs in my uni. There's like a BMA's like Bachelor of Music course, which is like the classical music course, and then there's mine, which they call it popular music, but we all hate that name because it's just like the only real difference is like the instruments. So it's like keyboards, drum kits, electric guitars, that kind of thing, rather than cello,
Right.
So that's my course, is popular music, and it's like a bit of performance, bit of technology and production, bit of essays to get your degree at the end.
What was your first band name? I'm curious to know.
My high school band went through so many different names, most of which were awful because we could never agree. That was the thing.
Yeah.
So our first name was the Loons, which is like a Scottish word for just the lads, but it's a bit cringe. And that was when I was like, we were so young at that time as well. Like I was 14, our drummer was one of my best pals. He was 12 when we and we were playing gigs like in pubs and stuff when I was 15, he was like 13. Most of us were like in between that. And I was never a singer either. I was just played guitar. But yeah, so we were called the Loons for a bit, and then somehow like there was 4 of us and we were split in half. Or what should we call it? Because we wanted to make like a Facebook page so that we could start getting more interest in posting videos and stuff. but we couldn't agree on a name because we knew we hated the Loons. But we couldn't agree on anything. So our bassist was just like, right, I've just made one under the name Hollow Whisper. And we were like, what? So for a while we were called that, but only because, again, we couldn't agree on anything to change it to. And then finally we ended up calling ourselves Calaman. And that's what that was when we started doing some original stuff. And that's like a bit of a story behind that name, but it's like a place near where we live in the Highlands.
Cool.
So,
I
I
really
like
love
it.
it. Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
you guys make your names based on like where you are and where you live. That's really cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Actually, technically my band name is Vienna Whyte. So there's two of us in the band. It's myself and Marissa. And we named Vienna, the name like Vienna, because we just really love the Billy Joel song Vienna. And it like
Yeah.
really relates to our life. So we're like, oh, like that's a feel for us right now. So we're like, let's just try Vienna. It sounds cool. And then we live on a street, well, not live, but we live near a street called Whyte Avenue, and I'm sure Jessica's familiar with it. But so I think it's kind of cool when you're able to incorporate your own like heritage per se, or like where you live into your music and your art, because I think it means a lot to people that do live there, right? It kind of it's like repping your city. Like when Drake's like, oh, I'm from the 6, like people in Toronto just like, they just love that. They eat that right up. So so what I want to chat about with you guys today, actually, and this is kind of Sam was touching about this a little bit. I want to talk about marketing as an independent artist and how to market yourself when you're kind of first starting out, when you're kind of going solo, or whether you're in a duo or in a band, and how you kind of get to that process. So, I mean, even if you guys don't think you have experience in this, you do, because you have valuable advice, and every artist that listens or is looking for this advice, I know they appreciate it. So my first kind of open question to you guys is, what would you say, for the both of you, what would you say is your guys' target audience, and why do you think maybe that's your target audience, and like how they kind of came to be? So let's just start with you, Jessica, and kind of why do you think your target audience is the age they are, or the gender they are, and how do you think you kind of work towards that?
Yeah, I would say that my target audience is probably like, I don't know, 16 to 26, 28 is kind of where I'm targeting mostly. Yeah, I guess it's people who like are in my age group, because I write things that are what I would want to listen to and what I would want to relate to. So I feel like kind of going through the same stuff of just like, what am I doing with my life? Oh my goodness, there's so much pressure. But I'm just gonna smile my way through it. It's gonna be great. So I feel like there's a lot of people that are in this age group that kind of relate to that. And yeah, it's actually really interesting. I've like been researching a bunch on like the different platforms and stuff of social media, and I recently just got a TikTok account because I'm like, I need to get a younger audience.
Yeah.
And also it's quarantine and I'm bored. So but yeah, I was like, I want to reach out to the younger, more like Gen X, Gen Z kind of thing. And so yeah, and it has been working actually. So you pretty much just like go to the platforms that your demographic is on and is using, and you'll find them.
Totally.
Yeah.
With TikTok, what's been the most cringy thing you've seen so far?
Oh
I'm
my
curious
god.
to know.
Oh my god. There's like the amount of like young teenage guys that literally just do like and like they get millions of views, and I'm like, I spent so long writing this song and recording this and taking like 40,000 takes, and like my fingers are bleeding, and and then I get like 12 views, and I'm like, cool, all right, I'm doing something wrong. So I guess I need to like start all my videos with like kind of thing. I don't know, maybe I just don't get it, but it is what I really, really do love about TikTok. I've discovered like with the younger generation, they're so unbelievably supportive and so unbelievably like open to everything. Like all of the comments that I've read, like I haven't read one comment that was like, you're ugly, or
Yeah.
you sound stupid, or anything like that. It is all like, you go girl, this is amazing. No matter how like low quality the video is or the content is, everyone is so supportive, and it's just
That's
a
so
really,
good, yeah.
really, really beautiful, and like, yeah, it's refreshing.
Yeah. Now, Sam, I'm curious to know, do you have a TikTok as well?
I do, actually.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
my
Follow
god.
JESSIA.
So
Yes.
like I got TikTok actually like back in December because I was visiting family I'm like half Australian, so I was visiting family in Australia for my cousin was getting married with all my family, and a lot of the time, like, I don't know, I was just like, oh, I sometimes in the evenings like don't know what to do, so I'll just like download TikTok and see what it's like. And then I just started making stuff like just not taking it seriously at all, and I thought it was like really funny, and I was just like, oh, just no one else is finding this funny. and then so that was kind of just all I did with TikTok, was just made stuff that I found funny.
Yeah.
And then like I kept seeing like more and more, especially this year and like the last couple of months, like people playing guitar just like popping up on my For You page all the time. And some of it I was just like, I reckon I could do that, like, because I'm a guitar player. So then it's probably only 4 weeks ago, I was like, oh, I'll just like do like 3-4 guitar riffs and put them in a video and stick it up. And I was like, instantly, like, I uploaded it in the evening, and the next morning I'd not had above like maybe 500-600 views on anything, and it was already like something like 3,000, and I was just like,
Yes.
what is going on here? So since then I've just been like, I don't know, kind of just because it's worked, just been doing loads of like guitar covers, and
Totally.
some of them have done really pretty well, and it's cool because I've like also gained, like, I've linked my Instagram, so it's like I'm getting Instagram followers as well,
Right.
which is it's really cool actually. It's like,
I think it's
don't
like
know.
you really have to find what your niche is on TikTok, because if you're just going along with everyone else and doing like the renegade, like you're not gonna do well.
Yeah. Oh, I hate so much of that. So much of it. I'm just scrolling. I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
I know, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I think like even like Jessia was saying, and you, Sam, like you guys both kind of found like, okay, what do I do well? What do people like seeing? What's creative? Because if you're just pumping out the same content that a 16-year-old is doing, of course you're not gonna go very far, right? So this kind of ties into my next question. What has been your most successful social media that you guys have used to release or spread about your music? And I want to start this off with Sam first, and then we'll work our way backwards.
I mean, so for me, like, Instagram is probably my main one. Just I always kind of liked Instagram more, and my music is sort of for people my age, I guess, more and more now as well, because the direction I'm going in is sort of narrowing down who the audience is. It's becoming a bit more electronic, and so it kind of just all made sense to me, like, if I'm putting it out to people like me, then whatever platform I like and I use most is probably going to be the one that is used most by them. If I was like making dad music, I'd probably be looking at like not Instagram, because my dad doesn't have Instagram. So like, but
exactly.
Instagram's the main one. But I mean, you've got to be on Facebook. So I mean, those are the main two for me. But Instagram, I put a lot more effort in with Instagram, and I'm much more regular with that. And I would say I get more like engagement, especially people in my audience there.
Yeah, and I think Instagram's just easier to navigate compared to like Facebook or just like other platforms, and I think that's just like the way it is. I think if a social media is doing really well and it's just easy to use, people will just gravitate towards it. Now, Jessia, I'm curious, with your kind of EDM background that you've had and like for songwriting that you've been doing, what kind of has been your most successful social media, do you think?
The ones that get me jobs of writing, SoundCloud is huge. There's a huge EDM scene on SoundCloud. I don't personally post my stuff on SoundCloud as much. I do have SoundCloud though. I do have an account. But yeah, SoundCloud was really big. Facebook, I've gotten a lot of jobs through as well. Same with Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram. That's what I find is like, I don't know, it just has it all. It has like the stories where you just want to be more casual, and it's got the feed where it's like more polished and more branding, and then it's got the DMs that are just so unbelievably easy. So it really is like the best of everything, I find. So I would say that, I don't know, they even just like having an email, like people email me all the time being like, yo, here's my song, write for me. So but an interesting one that I didn't really find was definitely SoundCloud. There's a lot of people there that you don't really
think about. I think for EDM definitely, and for rap, I think it's a really cool platform. I think for like the pop world, the more rock, I think it's a little bit more difficult, but I think it's really just using your social media platforms like to the fullest that you can. Like if you're just kind of like half-assing it and you're like, oh, here's this cover, but you have nowhere to like link where you can, I've had so many artists where I try to contact them and they don't have any information on like where I can find them, where I can email them, how I can even contact them directly. And it's just like really frustrating because it's like you have so much potential, but you're throwing it away just because of like, either you're just lazy or you just don't know how, right? So I think it's really important to know what platforms you're using and to use them well, right? So what are maybe some mistakes, marketing mistakes that maybe you guys think that you've made in your past with your music, and kind of what you didn't really realize would be a mistake, if that makes sense? Do you want to start off, Jessia?
Mistakes. Let's talk about mistakes. I would say probably not giving people enough notice of things. I like have like, if I have a song dropping or something and I'm like, oh yeah, tomorrow I've got this, and everyone's like, and you just don't really have the hype. So like having a song drop or having any sort of like big thing that you want to have engagement with, like think about it, like even like 3 months in advance, start thinking about the branding, thinking about the color scheme, thinking about how you want to present yourself, everything. Like, and then maybe like 2 months in advance start actually creating it, and then like the month before get people hyped. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, because I'm doing brand, launching my new pop brand. So I've been thinking about it for forever, and it's literally, it goes into everything. Everything is thought out of what I want my colors to look like, what I want my hair to look like. I want everything to just be really precise. And like, I also spent a lot of time just like scrolling and seeing what photos stopped me, and then like asking myself why that stopped me, why that video was interesting to me, because that's what's going to attract other people. So just act like,
oh no, we lost her. Okay, hold on, sorry. I'm gonna she should be able to just click back in. Oh, you disappeared.
I'm back.
Okay, sorry, continue.
I don't know where we were. So yeah, just act like your own viewer and what you want to see, and that's don't overload your audience, but also keep them in the loop. So.
And I think it's like totally, it's like some people don't give enough time for people to like register that a song is coming out, and you need to see things at least like 7 times before you can remember, oh yeah, like this person has an album coming out, or this person has a single, right? So I think it's super crucial, and I think it's really fun to include your audience in like unique ways. So like, this is a contest I'm doing, post yourself listening to this song, or like with the pre-save link, and then you can be entered to win blah blah blah, right? Like I think it's really cool to involve your audience, and they feel more like your true fans if they're involved too, right? So Sam, what are some maybe marketing mistakes, or just even like social media mistakes you think that you've kind of looked over or not really considered?
It's a great question. I mean, I feel like, I'm like less than a year since I released my first song. So I feel like I'm still to make a lot of mistakes, but I can think of a few. I mean, like, so one that I was doing, that I was like, you hear so much about putting out regular content, and I kind of just realized, I'm sacrificing the quality of the content by just trying to put it out all the time. So I was just kind of like, well, you know, people, if they come to if they see something they like and then they go on your page, they're gonna want to see stuff that like keeps them there. So for me, if I know I can do something better, then that's more likely to keep someone there. So it's just about like, I don't know, not sacrificing the quality for the quantity of the content. Another thing, a mistake I made recently with the last single, which was, I still can't believe it. It's quite funny though, is so I have like a few different email addresses, and I sent out my press release to like 300-400 emails from the wrong email address, the one that I'd made when I was like 13 for Facebook, which was like samtheappleman@gmail.com. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And I'd done it like it was too late. I couldn't send it out again with another email. And I was just like, oh no. And it was funny though. I was able to have a laugh about it because I was just like, the funny thing as well is I felt so nervous about sending it out. I don't know if you get that. Sending out a press release is just like it's not like posting it's out now on Instagram, because that's going to people who know you, people who follow. You're sending out a press release and it's like it's critics, right? It's people who are gonna look at it and might think it's really bad.
Like, judge me, here I am.
Yeah. And you also in a press release have to say, oh, this is why I'm really good and you should play it on your radio station. So I was not nervous about like hitting send, and then I finally did, and I was maybe 5-10 minutes later that I looked at the address it had been sent from, and I was like, oh no. So there's don't do that. Check before you send the press release what email address.
That's actually a very valid piece of advice, actually. And I think a lot of people have those embarrassing email addresses that they don't think about how it has an effect on your image. And you wouldn't think that, like, let's say you go to a job and you're like, I really want to work here. Here's my resume. And if your email address is like sporty babe chick, like, it's gonna leave a weird impression. Like, you don't think it does, but it will.
No, another thing, I just thought of another mistake that could be useful. This wasn't my first single that I released myself, and Spotify or any of the streaming platforms, if you don't like have your like premium account or anything, and it takes days to upload. And I realized that I was like, everybody get hyped for this, da 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 da, and I like uploaded it the day of.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, where's the song? And I was like, just kidding. Like, technical difficulties. So yeah, like any of those guys, like, get your song in so far in advance. Because, it will.
Totally. And I think, like, even if you upload it maybe a week in advance and you plan to release it like in 2 weeks, some people don't even notice that that's up there. So it's really not the end of the world if you release it. Like, it's not like a huge secret where you have to like hide it and let nobody see it when it's released. Like, most people will not know that it's out until you have posted, right, on social media. So yeah, that's a really valid point, because I actually, my first release was like a Christmas album, but I had that same problem. Like, I didn't realize that it would take a few days, and so I had to kind of readjust my schedule. And luckily I did it before the actual time I said, but yeah, very, very important to remember for sure. I'm curious to know your guys' opinions on, now this is kind of related with marketing, but I'm curious to know your opinions on labels, and if you think it's worthwhile to sign with one, and why, or maybe why not? Because I know this is kind of like, it's iffy. I know a lot of ours are really iffy about it, and some are like, yes, I totally would. Like, if I was given the chance, I 100% would. But I'm curious to know your guys' opinions. Sam, do you want to start this one off?
Yeah. Well, I did a uni project on this not long ago. So
perfect.
And this is one of the sections. We did a project on labels, and this is one of the sections that I'm like was really into and researched quite a lot for it. So I mean, basically, labels, like, if you sign with a label too early, then it's going to be bad for you. Basically, the best way that an artist can use a label, from what I found, was if you've got a big enough audience, if you've got something to offer the label, what the label can offer you is investment. So like market experience and
oh no.
she is. She's back.
Oh, did I leave? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow,
You
that's
left us.
weird. I don't know what's wrong with Zoom today. It's on crack. Okay, I was very interested in what you were saying. So, last thing I heard you say was you're doing a research paper on this. If you are small, sometimes it's better to not
Yeah.
be signed on. Sorry, continue.
So, I mean, basically, if you're small, labels won't be interested. So don't go after labels, because if you don't have anything to offer, they're not going to be interested, or they might give you a really bad deal. So, but if you're in that position where you can offer something to a label like an audience, you're already clearly going somewhere. They can give you a lot of investment, knowledge, experience to just like boost that. You know, it's like getting a mortgage on a house. You can buy a house because you're able to have a mortgage, whereas you wouldn't be able to get a big house if you didn't, if people weren't able to offer you a mortgage. So that's what labels can do for you. But then once you get to the point that a lot of artists get to the point where they actually could sustain themselves without a label. And I think a lot of the reason, like, you know, Chance the Rapper doesn't have a label, and a bunch of other artists. And at that stage, you don't need one, because you've got your own capital and your own experience to invest. But it takes, you know, you have to be pretty big to not need anything that a label has. In my opinion, I think a label can be a really good thing if you're at the right point. If labels are interested, that's probably the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have like 2 or 3 of them knocking at your door, you're definitely in a good position where you're like, okay, I could move on forward. Yeah, I really like that you mentioned Chance the Rapper, because I think for a lot of artists, he's like the big inspiration of having his own label and being independent. And I think he's a perfect example, and people should inspire to, if they want to go that route, they should inspire to look more into his history for sure. Now, JESSIA, can you tell us about what you think about labels and what kind of your experience is with them yourself?
Yeah, I think that labels are good, but yeah, just building off of what Sam said, like, don't sign too early. That is the biggest thing. And like, yeah, I've been approached by a couple of labels, and I was just like, I'm just not ready. I want to see if I can actually do this myself and see what I can do without your guys' help. Another big thing is like, I mean, I don't know what like the current state of the economy and everything is going to affect the labels much, but when you have a label and like they give you a manager and everything, and they're like your entire team, that's a really scary thing, because then you only have really one opinion and one direction and one big thing that's influencing you. And so I would say definitely, like, as you're growing as an artist, you get your manager and you get your team and you get people that you've chosen and that you trust. And yeah, I would say definitely have like an agent and a manager from a different place, so that you've got different opinions and you've kind of built different relationships, so that there's less of just being pushed into something that you might not want to do. That is kind of a common thing that happens in being signed. And yeah, it kind of just, it's really just what label do you want to be with, how big they are. There's a lot more like independent labels and a lot more people that are just more willing to just help the artist and not just kind of exploit the artist. So
totally, yeah. And I really like that you mentioned that. Like, I mean, not everyone gets the opportunity to choose their team necessarily all the time, but I think if you're given the opportunity to choose your own manager, to choose your own stylist or whatnot, like, I think it keeps you who you are as an artist and who you're trying to be. I mean, obviously sometimes it's helpful to have someone be like, hey, I think you should cut your bangs, and it might give you a fresh look. Like, okay, yeah, maybe. But like, if they're like, hey, you should lose 40 pounds, it's like, whoa, okay, now you're kind of changing like my identity and who I am, right? So I think it's super crucial to have people that are really who know you. And I think that a lot of that comes through marketing too, like, or not marketing, networking is what I meant to say. Just meeting new people, just seeing who clicks with you, and not just taking the first opportunity that just throws your way, right? Like, if you had signed with that label initially that had contacted you, yes, it's amazing. But if it was the first one that contacted you, you might have just nilly-willy kind of been like, yeah, let's do it for sure. Why not? Right? Like, you never know. So you do definitely have to be careful.
Also, like as a Canadian, like they're so sorry to
No, that's okay.
Edinburgh, but as a Canadian, there's so many grants and there's so much funding that you can just. It takes time and it takes work, but you can get funding that a label would be able to supply you, and you're able to take all of your earnings back. So that's also a big thing, is that it's not necessarily easier, but it is a cushier option as a Canadian artist to stay independent longer.
Totally. Yep, Canada is pretty bomb for that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the one thing good we've got going on here. Besides that, Sam, I'm curious to know, with your kind of guys' grant funding, what does that kind of look like in Edinburgh or the Scotland area?
Scotland's pretty good. I mean, it is like stuff I've looked at before. Just getting money is hard. It's like, it's, as always, it would be. We managed to get, there's a lot of stuff for young people. So actually my high school band managed to get a little bit of money to get a track mastered that we'd recorded when we were at school. So that's the piece of funding, the only piece of funding that I've had. But there's loads of programs as well, like learning programs that you can like apply to, and it's like a fund, because then they give you online lessons or whatever, and there's programs. There are grants that you can get money for, but they're often really specific as well. So it's kind of hard to find the right one, but yeah, and there's also a couple that are like take you on tour or something like that. So yeah,
I think that's the thing with grants, is sometimes they seem easy, but sometimes they can be very specific. It's really tough to find your exact niche of what you're looking for. Like, I think if you have to be very specific and intentional with what you're applying for, and know like, okay, this is what I want to try and get. Like, if I can get this, awesome, but these are some other outlets I'd be interested in kind of applying for. So absolutely. All right, that is actually all of the time that we have for today. So I want to thank you guys for coming on and being a part of this. This has been so much fun, and it's always so insightful to hear just from like different artists, different perspectives. So thank you guys so much. My name is Millie Rouge. I'm from the band Vienna Whyte. This again is a Yeg Music production that you are watching. We put out these YouTube videos Monday to Friday, and our morning brews as well on Monday to Friday. So make sure you're following, subscribing, and hitting the bell button. So before we head off, can you guys just again just say your names and tell our audience where they can find you on whatever social media platform you prefer the most. So let's start with Sam.
I'm Sam Appleby. I've got a couple of stuff on Spotify, but also find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Sam James Appleby.
Awesome.
Thanks.
And JESSIA?
Yeah, I'm JESSIA, and you can find me at JESSIA Music on any streaming platform, Instagram, TikTok. I'm now on TikTok, Facebook, pretty much anywhere. JESSIA Music.
Awesome. Well, have a great day, guys. Thank you so much again. Nice to see you all.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you.